Welcome to Lost in Paris. Today, I'm not lost in Paris. I'm gonna lost under the sea. I've traveled across Asia and Europe, but this time I'm gonna travel under the sea. And the good news is I'm officially a diver, certified diver. Diving sounds like a sport, but for me as an artist, it's more than that. There are so many things that I could learn and also bring into my daily life and also in my creativity. In my 15 years as a full-time artist, I have tried so many methods to paint and to create. For me, the best way to create is I paint and create intensely, then step back, travel, refill, and go back to the studio and refresh and start fresh again. That is what keeps my arts alive. Today, instead of studio visit, it is the underwater one. Before sharing my diving journey and experiences, I have one thought. Why did humans even start diving in the first place? It was when I think about it, it's really amazing. Um, how it just started. Like one day, someone who living next to the sea is woke up and thinking like, I want to go under the sea. I want to see what is under this water. But we can't live more than 2 minutes. You can even die there because a lot of people die under the sea and under the water, and it is really really scary dying by drowning. But still, human wanted to discover. They are so curious, and they did it. Humans are really really amazing. They are curious, they are very imaginative, they are creative, and they discover a new world. So it's made me think about what is the history of the diving, how the diving suit has started. But I'm sure all the gear and all the accessory, all the gadgets that we are using for diving today, I don't think it's going to be the same the beginning of the diving. So let's start the history first. The beginning of scuba diving is free diving. It is one of the oldest human survival skills. Over 8,000 years ago, people were diving for food and resources with nothing but their lungs and courage. The Greeks were masters, diving for sponge, pearls, even treasure from shipwrecks. Some used red snorkel to breathe at the surface, or the tie stone to their body to sink faster. A strange spot before there were spots, except if you failed, there was no second chance. And it is not just Greek. In Myanmar, coastal community in Tanintharyi and Rakhine also practiced breath hold diving for centuries. The sea was an adventure, it was survival. Our sea story are stitched into our history too. More than 2,000 years ago, people already tried breathing underwater. The trick? Lower an upside-down pot into the sea, and the air inside stayed trapped. That was the first version of a diving bell. Simple but genius. They even say Alexander the Great went down in one during a battle. Imagine an empire in a giant bubble. Empire building and scuba testing. That's cool. Later on, people made bigger and fancier versions. Some even had windows like tiny underwater rooms. The first pressure-resisting diving suits were developed in the 1710s by two English inventors. But there was always one catch, the rope. No matter how deep you went, you were still tied to the surface. A little taste of freedom, but never all the way. And then boom, in 1943, just 5 years before Myanmar independence and while Germany was invading France, everything changed. A French naval officer and an engineer beat the aqualungs. Air in a tank, strap on the back. For the first time, no rope, no hose, just freedom to swim. That was the real birth of scuba diving as we know it today. At first, people dove because they had to, for food, treasure, even war. But now, we dive because we want to. For curiosity, for beauty, for that crazy feelings of floating in another world. Diving became less about survival and more about discovery. Honestly, isn't that what humans always do? Turn danger into adventure. before that trip, receiving the diving certificate, I have tried diving twice before. One in Thailand and another one was in my country, in Myanmar. But I never got the certificate. When I have to move to Europe, and I also had that dream all the time in me, like I wanted to have the certificate one day. I want to do the diving again. So I have checked in Europe. I have checked a lot of places, and there are a lot of very good places and reasonable prices and a good training classes. I've checked, but the timing was never right. But this time I was invited to go to Thailand for my art to do the mural there. So I was telling like, yeah, I have started the trip in Thailand. Why not? I finish it there. So that this year, the beginning of this year, when I had to go to Thailand to make a mural, and I decide myself and I tell myself I'm gonna finish this journey. I'm gonna take the certificate there, and I did it. The first day of the scuba diving class. I did my diving and Koh Tao at Simple Life Diving School. Now I'm feeling out the fun and realizing that it's actually a dangerous spot. I train with a British instructor and a full British team. We are a total of 5 and we have to learn and spend time for the whole training together. So if you hear me switching into my random British accent here and there, mixed with my American English, balmy rhythm and French slip, don't worry, my accent is just as lost as I am. I did 4 dives in 2 days to get my license. The first day started in a swimming pool, learning how to set up my own equipment and do safety check. Day 2 was the real deal, the sea. The first day of the sea was nice. We began in a beginner-friendly area for training, but honestly, my first dive on second day was scary. For some reason, we had to start preparing while the boat was still moving, maybe because of the wave or the wind. Then suddenly the moment came. The boat stopped and it was like, go, go, go. Everyone jumped straight into the sea. I feel like I was in military training or jumping from a plane in some action movie. I even remember reading that astronauts train by diving because underwater is the closer feeling to space and zero gravity. The sea was windy and wavy, so we have to jump far and swim fast so we wouldn't hit the boat. And there was also a stream, and I was scared, so even on the surface, I kept my regulator in my mouth just to feel safe. At first, I thought I was the only one freaking out, but later I asked my teammate and they said they felt the same. Every time I jumped into the sea with a heavy tank and 5-kilo strap around my waist, I thought, what if I just sink straight to the bottom? But it never happened. Physics win. Suddenly, I was revisiting lessons I hadn't touched since high school. Pressure, air, density. But the magic happened once you go down. After a few minutes underwater, it's calm, beautiful, like another world. We had to swim carefully to avoid touching or damaging the coral. It is their home. And then the moments of hovering. After a few minutes underwater, the panic fades. It is beautiful, surreal, like stepping into a new world. Even the best video or photo can capture that feeling. But diving comes with rules. You can't panic and shoot straight to the surface. Your lungs could explode, your eardrum rupture. You have to rise slowly, carefully. Once you understand safety and respect it, the fear turns into fun and trust, especially in your team. That calm, that control, it is something I carry back into daily life. In exile, in my studio, or even in Paris' struggling life. Don't panic, breathe, keep going. As an artist, the ocean feels familiar. Texture, color, shadow, silent. It is like stepping into a living gallery. Art and diving are both about discovering hidden layers. Both require patience, both are never really finished, and that is the beauty. Diving taught me balance in life too. Underwater remind me, stay calm, breathe, trust the team, and enjoy the moment. Panic, blame, or chaos won't help, but calm does. That is the lesson I took from the sea. But what about you? If you ever tried diving, or even just imagine it, how did it feel for you? Could you stay calm or would you panic? Tell me in the comment. I want to hear your vision of being underwater. After 4 dives, 141 minutes underwater with the deepest dive at 18 meters. Here's a certified diver. I was the only girl in the team, but I nailed it. Let me call the witness. Hello, Carl. Thank you so much for teaching us so well. And you told me I was amazing under the sea during our diving class, right? By the way, you know, the longest memory I carry from diving trip was sunburn. Until today, you can see me in every episode with that burn line. It is very sharp. So if you do diving, don't forget the sunscreen. My trainer was really kind and gave me 2 diving suits, one long, one short. Of course, if you know me. Sport and adventure are one thing, fashion and clothes are another. I like to do both. Honestly, I even wanted to look beautiful and dress up for the fish. Myanmar also have the beautiful beaches and the places for the diving, but not now. One day I'm gonna bring you there through my channel. For now, all we can do is pray for the peace, pray for the returns, and we just have to make a wish for the best. Maybe one day. Thank you so much for watching and getting lost with me. See you until the next episode. A bientôt. Au revoir.